Hey, good Friday morning, everybody. Getting ready to set up for the MB, and it is very lively down here. Birds are hitting the water everywhere. We have got fishermen working the surf here. We got tons of by-the-wind sailors strewn up and down the beach. Just another day in Southern California. This is going to be a good one. Let's see what happens. Hopefully these guys will pull a rabbit out of the hat here this morning. You know what time it is. It's almost time for the MB. Let's get it rolling. The angler just stopped by to say hello, and he saw a couple halibut jump out of the water here, which is something you will commonly see. Not that common, but pretty common. He says he wishes one would jump on his lure, however. So we'll be watching these guys very closely. Hopefully they'll come up with something while we are doing the MB. Just wanted to check back again because that's pretty cool. Good morning, everybody. A couple of spots left for Thursday's departure on the El Patron with Friedman Adventures. I'd love to see you on board. Just send me a text if you'd like to join us. And also, don't forget to get your Friedman Adventures merch at www.embroiderycreations.net. Limits of white sea bass today on board the Endeavor out of Ventura Sport Fishing. A nice hit for Tucker McCombs and the lucky anglers on board. Those fish taken on the dropper loop rig, and we are back in the sea bass. It's been a little dry up there for sea bass fishing for about 4 or 5 days. Previous to this, Tucker had limits 3 days in a row. It appears that we are back on the sea bass again, and that is great news because the Pacific Eagle is running daily trips out of Ventura Harbor sport fishing. Great news. Limits of white sea bass on board the Endeavor. We'll keep you informed. Hey, good morning, my dear friends, and welcome to beautiful Surfside, California. This beautiful Friday morning. It is very lively down here. Birds are hitting the water. This angler, as you just heard, saw a couple of halibut jump out of the water, something I have seen here many times before. It's not all that common, however, and that is a very special moment. Hopefully, he's going to run up here with a flatty before the end of the morning briefing. That would really make my morning. Hey, there's a lot to talk about. The bluefin tuna bite has been phenomenal. And yes, the pangeros are starting to catch bluefin tuna out of Ensenada. We'll check in on the San Diego fleet and see how they've been doing. They've had some really outstanding day and mostly nighttime fishing, but a good signal in the daytime. Also down about 120 miles. Limits of white sea bass on board the Endeavor up there in the Channel Islands. Great job, Tucker McCombs, as he once again has done it and showing us that that sea bass bite is for real, and it is back on again, at least for the time being. We'll watch the Southern California surf. We'll talk about some really big yellowtail, some outstanding calico bass fishing, and yes, weather back in the picture again. We'll have a windy weather forecast coming your way also here this morning. You know what time it is. It's time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. Oh, is that good or what? Man, that is so delicious, and it's so great to spend time with you all. Once again, if you don't mind hitting that like button, we deeply appreciate it if you can do that. Also, sharing these videos with a friend is fantastic. Subscribe to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel. Tick the bell. You'll be notified when there's new content. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Can't thank you all for all of your great support. What a great show last night, the Danny Cadota Show. Of course, Danny with all of his knowledge, and Jason Lawler, the chef on board the Amigo, did such a great job. Those two together are really fantastic. I enjoyed sitting there and watching the show. Can't thank you for all of the questions that you funneled in to the show last night. And that show is archived now, so you can go back and take a look at it. Don't forget, everything at Promar on their website, you can get 10% off of anything. Gaffs, nets, lobster hoop netting stuff, jigs, whatever it is your little heart desires. Just put in FA at checkout and you'll get 10% off. All right, let's get into it with you. First of all, I want to start with a couple of great family members, Friedman Adventures family members, and that is Dan and Susie Vaucoter. They are fantastic people. And Dan got his personal best beautiful big Dorado down there in Cabo San Lucas. Susie along with him, and I send you both all my love and all my good wishes. It is so great to see you having so much fun. Let's come up a lot closer to home now, only 70 miles below the border, where you find the beautiful coastal town of Ensenada, Baja California. We told you the other day that Paulina, my co-host down when I'm in Mexico doing shows, she was out with, of course, Foca and her mother Berenice, and they went out and looked around. They found beautiful conditions. One big fat bonita, like a 14-pound bonita out there, 63.5 water, full of bait and life. It looked really, really good, but no bluefin tuna. But yesterday, we came up with some bluefin tuna, and man, is it good to see. Baja fishing out there in Punta Banda. What a catch for Adalberto Fuentes. He was throwing a popper on a foamer of bluefin tuna, and he got a fish that went over 145 pounds. That is a magnificent catch. Way to go, Diego Puentes. Let me know about this. And man, they are on it now. Baja fishing, Punta Banda, they are running on this fish. And of course, here next weekend, they've got a tremendous tournament going on down in Baja California. So this is welcome news that we're finally starting to catch some fish, and we'll see if we can't build on this a little bit more. The New Loan, a sport boat out of San Diego, actually had a catch not far from Ensenada, but that area of fish rapidly dissipated and kind of moved off in another direction, or was just down for a little while. This is very welcome news. There was another pongero down there that had a fish also, so we are starting to see that fish move into Ensenada. High hopes that it's going to continue. We'll be watching it for you very, very closely today. Inside the bay in Ensenada, that yellowtail is still there. And this now is going to remove some of the boat pressure on that inside the bay yellowtail. A lot of guys are going to go offshore now and start looking for the bluefin tuna. We'll be monitoring that for you very closely, because that yellowtail bite in there has been good, and it's been nice grade yellowtail. Yeah, there's been some 10 to 12 pound yellowtail in there, but there's been a lot of 15 to 20, 25 pound forkies under the birds, biting the surface iron. It really has been good. And you know, the theme about yellowtail, whether it's down there in Ensenada or down in San Quintin or all the way up here to San Clemente Island, we've seen a lot of big fish this year. More on that in a moment with our friend Marcus Fain, who caught an exceptionally big fish yesterday on board the San Diego. So really excellent signal going on yellows in there. Some big bonita mixed up with it, and plenty of rockfish to back you up. All right, let's bump you over into the USA and talk about our bluefin tuna bite. It has been exceptional down there around Punta Colinet, actually west of there, where we've seen really good nighttime fishing on 20 to 60 pound fish, depends on what jag of fish you get on, and it has been flat wide open. Sometimes it's on the lighter jigs. We've seen that happen on a regular basis. Patrick Hornjack recently was on the American Angler, and he said they hung the whole boat when they went in there at night, and then they went into about a 4-hour plunker bite. But the fish, the bluefin tuna that is, were biting best on the 120 to 180 gram jigs. That does not, I'm not telling you to leave your 300 gram jigs or your 400 gram jigs or even heavier than that at home. I'm just telling you, here recently we've seen them biting that lighter jig at night, and it's been pretty doggone good. So we'll continue to watch that. Make sure you have a variety of different knife jigs and jigs that you're going to use at night for that fish. PL68 is another really good lure that you can use on these fish in the daytime. That bite on that bluefin tuna has been very, shall we say, finicky. Fish are very line shy. You're dropping down to 25 to 30 pound fluorocarbon in most cases to get a bite. Choosing a really good hot bait is the only way to get the job done. So that is really, really something that adds up and results in a lot of lost fish, because you are going to dump fish when you drop down that light. But you have got to get a bite, and sometimes the only way to get that bite is by dropping down. So fluorocarbon 25 to 30, have your heavier stuff also, and keep in mind that choosing a good hot bait is really important. Like a Daiwa Sakana lure can also be super effective to your success when you roll up on a foamer of fish. Or if you want to be like Adalberto, you can throw a popper also from time to time and be quite successful. Now, I haven't heard a whole lot from the guys from last night, and I've been sending out messages since about 2 this morning. Could be that they were really busy catching a lot of fish. Could be that they were having a slow night. Could be that they just haven't had time to get back to me. You'll see it down here in text exactly what is going on with the boats if they get in touch with me before I finish post-production on the morning briefing. If not, I'll be back with shorts later today to get you up to date. But they have been a little bit quiet about last night's fishing. We'll see what is going on. So keep that all in mind. It is all super important to your success. Don't forget, if you have unfiled taxes or you need some help with your taxes, you want to turn to Tim Marquez from A Best Income Tax. Give him a call right now. He will really help you out. And if you have heating or air conditioning needs, make sure you give John Lopez at Efficient Heating and Air Conditioning a call. John's a great guy. He'll take really good care of you. All right, let's talk Coronado Islands because we've seen some really big yellows down there here recently. A lot of this 18 to 20 pound fish. But man, our friend Marcus Fain was on board the San Diego yesterday. They run full day trips out of C4 Sport Fishing down to the Coronado Islands. The islands are only 11 miles away, but they're big. So, I mean, if you count South Kelp Ridge and the Rock Pile, it's 20-something miles to the end of that. Some guys will fish down below that also. So you can be there in a matter of a few hours, and that is great stuff. Yesterday, Marcus Fain fishing on board the San Diego, throwing a surface iron. Check out that 35-pound forky on the surface iron. Marcus, you've got to be kidding me. That is an outstanding catch. He was fishing with a surface iron made by Two Fish Jigs. It was a JJ 240. Also fishing with a Fishing Syndicate 90J glass rod. And he caught that bad boy on 40-pound mono. That is one heck of a great catch. There's been quite a few yellows zooming around the Coronado Islands. We have hits from 20 fish to 0 fish. It's a little bit inconsistent there right now, but that is a great catch. Beautiful fish. And we have seen a lot of big yellows in there in that neck of the woods. Let's take it in to the San Diego local scene. I just want to tell you that the other day on the new Seaforth, they had some big yellows there also. And they've been having go-arounds. They see the fish. They don't bite every single day. This is typical early spring type fishing where our conditions are just starting to warm up. Things are just starting to settle in. We're seeing yellows move in, but they're a little reluctant to bite with any consistency. No big deal. It'll all settle down and bite. On the new Seaforth, we've also seen some really good calico bass fishing. So our springtime bite seems to be headed in the right direction, and hopefully some of those big yellows will be caught again here this morning. A lot of that local yellowtail, La Jolla, Torrey Pines, that zone where they've been zooming around on the yo-yo iron. So a small heavy jig that you sink down deep and wind on fast, that is going to get the job done for you very, very well. So the San Diego area in general looking pretty darn good. We'll see what happens with our bluefin tuna and see if we can hold on to some consistency with regard to that. And I'll have a weather note here at the end of today's report that you're going to want to hear with regard to weather here in Southern California. It's going to get a little bit nasty on Sunday in some areas, not all areas, and I'll try to delineate that in terms of the forecast for you all. All right. Let's talk a little bit about our local islands up here. And then we got a limits of white sea bass, phenomenal trip that we have to talk about. San Clemente Island, there's been some bigger yellows zooming around there also, but not copious amount by any stretch of the imagination. I think the best score here recently has been on the Amigo with Mark Paisano Jr., who always does a great job. I got to spend some nice moments with him yesterday. I think it was 6, and then he backed it up with another hit of 5 yellowtail. There's plenty of rockfish there and a little bit of calico bass. So that's San Clemente Island for you. At Catalina Island, we have seen the El Patron out of Long Beach Sport Fishing there on a regular basis. They're doing really well on the bottom fish, but we're starting to see more and more surface signs. The Freelance has found some 64-degree water there, and they're catching more calico bass. They've had yellowtail the last couple of days. No big numbers, but we're seeing the yellows again, some bonita, and plenty of rockfish. Pretty darn good fishing going on there. The Pursuit got in while we were doing the Danny Cadota show last night, and I asked a couple anglers, and they say, we always have a great time when we fish on the Pursuit. One angler said he won the jackpot with a 7-pound vermilion. That's a big red, beautiful big red. Pursuit is fishing the deep water stuff and the shallow water stuff and mixing it all up. on the surface stuff also. So they're giving that surface bite a check. Don't forget, we've got 2 spots available on the El Patron for Thursday. If you want to get on, just send me a text, 657-227-6459. And then Thursday night, the El Patron is running an overnight trip. So when we get in, they take off on an overnight trip. You can book that by going to www.longbeachsportfishing.org. Get on the El Patron. So some pretty good fishing going on. Let's go out to the Channel Islands where Tucker McCombs has done it again. 15 anglers, 15 white sea bass. Excellent white sea bass fishing. Who knows? He may be limited out already this morning. If he is, I'll put it down there. In text, you'll see it down below. Or I'll be updating you with shorts later on today. Excellent fishing. Loving the dropper loop up there. Fishing dropper loop for those white sea bass and halibut for that matter. He had some nice halibut, as you can see that laid out on the deck beautifully for you. Nice hit for them up there. And copious amounts of rockfish. That's the beauty about the Channel Islands. You fish out of Ventura Sport Fishing, you're almost guaranteed a bunch of rockfish, and then you just might catch a sea bass and a halibut or 2 or 3 or 4. It's really a magnificent place to fish, and it's been pretty darn good here. The Californian and the Island Spirit are going tomorrow, and you might want to be on board because they're catching all kinds of really beautiful rockfish, and there's no finer fish in the sea in terms of table fare. They are really good and really a lot of fun to catch, and both those boats, the Island Spirit and the California, which is the old Matt Walsh, are also looking at the halibut, looking at the sea bass. They're trying to get that kind of a bite. They're mixing that day's fishing up for you between a surface kind of bite and the rockfish kind of bite. 6 to 16 ounce torpedo sinkers are what you want to have along with you to get the job done. In case you do fish deep, it would behoove you to make sure you have that along with you. And then, as I say, dropper loop is probably the best way to fish the sea bass and halibut up there in that neck of the woods. 805-676-3474. Make sure you give Ventura Sport Fishing a call. Say hi to Saul for me. Remember, kids, fish free on board the Island Spirit every Sunday. And for this whole month, every single day, you buy a full fare, your buddy goes for half price throughout the month of May, only at Ventura Sport Fishing. Check them out. So some really excellent fishing up there in that neck of the woods. Now, as we take a look at our local bites up and down the coast here, we are seeing mostly rockfish. I'm not even going to go through the boats and the landings because it's pretty much a carbon copy. They're all getting them. You have good weather, you're going to have some excellent fishing, no doubt about that. So once again, great fishing for boats from down below the border up to the Channel Islands. All these guys are all over the bottom fish doing really well. Half-day boats, 3/4-day boats, full-day boats. The rockfish bite in SoCal has been excellent, and it has remained that way for most of this whole season since the rockfish season opened up again. I would bring that variety of different tackle in terms of your sinkers. I would have, 6, 8 ounce, and I'd also have 16 ounce because you can fish really deep, and that's where you get the really big ones. Those big rockfish are in that deep water. It's such a great way to get the job done, so keep that in mind. And over there at Promar Ahi, they have some ready-made ganyons for you that really work well, and they also have the descending device that when you catch a rockfish and you have to return it, you have to descend it down to depth. It's a good idea to have that on board. In fact, if you're a private boater, it's absolutely mandatory. If the Department of Fish and Wildlife check you out and you don't have it, you are subject to a fine. And you get 2 of those descending devices when you buy them from Promar. And I think they're $13.50, something like that. You get 10% off when you put in FA at checkout. Those descending devices are mandatory. You can get them at promarahi.com and put in FA at checkout, and you'll be in really, really good shape. Taking a look here in the Southern California surf, man, I was excited. Those guys have worked way down the beach now to hear this guy talking about seeing some halibut jump in the surf. I don't know what's been going on behind me since you've been watching, but when I first got down here, it was very active with birds hitting the surf, all kinds of pelicans here picking bait fish off. So it makes sense that we have some activity here, and it makes me want to run up and get my rod. I know that the high tide's at daybreak, so right now, fishing daybreak would be a very good idea. Tomorrow morning, daybreak would be a fabulous way to get the job done before this wind shows up and the Pelican Patrol approaches me here behind me, flying very low, probably not going to hit the water in there. They're up high when they do that. So some yellowfin croaker. We've seen some corbina here as the water starts to warm up. Halibut are around. You know, there's been some pretty darn good fishing, and hopefully the spotfin croaker are going to show up here very, very soon also. Remember, Big Fish Bait and Tackle in the beautiful city of Seal Beach, California, in the good old USA. They have all the bait you need. They've got a great derby going on for the month of May. The largest halibut is going to win a free custom beautiful rod. Man, it's free to enter. It's so great at Big Fish Bait and Tackle. Absolutely free. All you need is your ruler, then you need a big halibut, and then you inscribe the date in the sand, take a photo, and upload it to the Instagram page of Big Fish Bait and Tackle, and you could win that custom rod. It's that easy. If you have any questions, you can go in there and check them out, pick up some good bait or a lucky crab lure or some other kind of jig that you want to throw here in the surf to pick off your prize halibut and win that free custom rod. Mentioned weather right up front. Let's talk about it. Sunday's going to get very windy in some areas. We're going to see it up there in the Channel Islands. Quite a bit of wind in the Bluefin Tuna area. Well, where it has been off Coronado, it's going to get breezy. Looks fishable. However, just outside of Ensenada in that area, it's going to be breezy, pretty breezy for panga fishermen along the Southern California coast. I think 1/2 and 3/4 day guys should be okay out toward Catalina. It's going to get a little bit breezy also. Some guys have already thrown the towel in on some of the trips. It looks like Sunday is going to be the worst day of it all, depending upon where you find yourself. So check with your boats and landings. And again, looks like, whoa, boy, there's a whole bunch of pelicans hitting the water. Looks like Sunday is going to be a breezy day. However, forecast change. Let's keep our eyes on that for you very, very closely. All right, Ensenada, catching some bluefin tuna. Way to go, boys! Felicidades, mis hermanos in Mexico. And also, we have that limits of white sea bass up there in the Channel Islands. That's exciting news. Some yellowtail at Catalina Island, and that big yellow by Marcus Fame. Marcus, you are the man. Once again, I am so stoked to see the springtime bite trying to come on. However, looks like we're going to get some wind on Sunday, so it might take a step backwards. It'll be very temporary if it's been the way it's been. It's been very resilient. You have some wind, and then the fish come right back and start to show evidence that they're trying to move us into springtime. I'll be watching it very, very closely for you all here today and every day. I can't thank you enough for all the likes, for sharing the videos, for subscribing to the Friedman Adventures channel. And as always, I hope to see you really, really soon.
This May 3rd, 4th, and 5th, get ready for an adventure-packed weekend at the West Coast Outdoors Sport Fishing Expo. Taking place at the Ventura Fairgrounds, it's everything outdoors under the sun. Discover the latest in boats, explore thrilling charters, and dive into the world of RVs. Whether you're an avid angler or just love the great outdoors, there's something for everyone. For more information, visit sportfishingexpo.com.